here's somebody that can actually sit down and yak with us.
Oh, this is excellent.
Mr. Joe.
The Clan Barton is here.
Have a seat. How are you? Hey, put on a headset. And we'll actually put power on. Start saying something. I got to pick the right one here.
Wow, it feels like I'm in the plane.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Except, why am I only getting...
You getting him?
No, but I'm only getting one channel. I will have to look at this. This is why. Now talk.
Should I talk into both mics?
No, I will get that straightened out. There we go.
Skip's suffering from a little imbalance.
Thank you. So, Mr. Joe, how are you?
I'm better than I deserve.
Well, thanks for stopping by and chatting with us here at Granite Rock for a little bit. What brings you here to the Seacoast Republican Women's and Rockingham County Republican Committee brunch?
I was invited by Diane Bitter and harassed by Ted Cruz and his people. And,
Harassed?
Not harassed.
Harassed?
It's a joke. Pleasurably harassed, if that's appropriate.
Okay. So, are you expecting anything in particular?
I don't really have any expectations. I've only seen Ted Cruz once, so I have to see him at least one more time before, I can present some reasonable feedback.
Start to make an opinion.
Yeah, start to form an opinion. He's the only guy in the field right now, so.
Right, and we were actually talking about some of that, and we were ticking off on our fingers, and didn't need all of them. The Democrat bench. And actually, I was leading up to a little witticism by X John, one of the tweet posters, that Elizabeth Warren is not going to run for Harry Reid's position as minority leader because she's only 1/32nd minority. That was one of yesterday's witticisms.
Nice. Yeah, I was happy to see that in the Judd report. That Harry Reid's
Harry Reid's retired. He and his eye bandage. Poor guy. Actually, you don't wish accidents like that on anybody. Are actually going to retire and spend some time with the family. And now, if the fossil of the House would also retire, there'd be no nationally known Democrat names anywhere. I'm referring, of course, to Skeletor Pelosi.
Well, the rumor is that Reid has formally anointed Senator Schumer out of New York to be his successor.
Yeah.
I'm quite sure that Dick Durbin out of Illinois is not too happy with that idea either, because he was rumored to have wanted that top spot.
I'm glad that he's comfortable with the idea that there will still be a minority leader, and it will be a Democrat.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But, hope springs eternal, and we do know that the pendulum eventually will swing backwards. The other way. So, and I will tell you, he would not be somebody I would like to see as the majority leader in the Senate. But we'll see. So, before we cut off on this tangent, and this is what we do because, after all, we are the ADD bloggers at Granite Rock. How are you handicapping? Yeah, that's right. Sorry, I'm low on sleep for various reasons today.
Yeah.
The presidential campaign from your standpoint.
It's politics here in New Hampshire is, as everybody knows, our state sport, and it's just starting. It's kind of like an Olympics, if you want to think of it like that, and it really just started. So I look at this as kind of the opening ceremonies, and it'll be a long process to hopefully next February, unless we end up moving it up because of other states playing games with their primary.
Yeah. And I actually hope we don't. I think February is more than early enough to have primaries.
Yeah, it is.
There is, of course, going to be a time for choosing sooner than that. I don't know if you've been reading the news about conservative activities in the state. A new conservative organization has got together and is attempting to bring in all of the conservative and libertarian leading groups in the state, or as many as are willing to participate, with the idea that first we get the candidates in as best we can to give them an opportunity to kick the tires, kick the shins, whatever it is they do, and then later in this year we will hold a caucus. The idea is to get the activist voters to select a preferred candidate. We can't tell them. We're not going to try and tell them. We're going to get them to pledge to support their own choice and then to choose. Because the one thing that always hampers us conservatives is, frankly, we have a very deep bench. We have a lot of conservatives who want to be senator or be president or whatever. And the hard part is getting enough votes behind one of them to beat the moderate.
Right, and the history has been to, have our opinions dictated from somebody else and be told who to vote for. And that seems to be the party apparatus.
Yeah, and we're tired of that. Whether it's Gnomeville Valley ski resort, or whether it's or whether it's the RNC, which is now 90% staffed with Bushites.
Right.
You know what their leanings are. Say the battle I'm looking forward to actually is Kelly Ayotte's conscience when the party dictates to her that she's going to support Jeb Bush, and her mentors call in their chits, and Lindsey Graham says, "You're going to support me."
Yeah, I don't think Lindsey Graham has a snowball's chance. But just to back up a little bit. I think it would improve the process if we had runoff elections here in New Hampshire, and people could actually make their own choice and then not have to vote for who they think will win or has the best chance to win.
And there is indeed some of that happening. I think in elections, when there's a large field, you do see people tend to coalesce behind the one they think has a chance of winning, rather than the one they really want to push through. And this is why these new organizations, the Conservative Business League in New Hampshire, which is going to work on education and bringing the candidates in, and the 603 Alliance, which is going to work on coalescing the groups and choosing the candidate. And again, having the group members choose the candidate.
The 603 Alliance, their event is in Nashville on the 19th of April.
That's the kickoff event at which we're going to get as many members as we can of a variety of conservative groups. We're going to get some conservative speakers and make it a bang-up launch. And no, there won't be any presidential candidates speaking. There'll be lots of those at the First in the Nation event, which directly precedes it at the same location. We chose the time and place deliberately. But we're not going to invite them to speak on this occasion. We're not attempting to promote one or another candidate or to appear to favor any of them during our launch event.
And just one question, though. Isn't it more of a case that yesterday was really the kickoff event, or at least was it a prequel to the first event? Because you guys did have an event at a VFW in Merrimack that was filled to overflowing, and of course the left has already started to turn in horrible results, but yet everybody who comes to these things are enthusiastic.
Yes, and I got a couple of stories about that. So I was actually there. Full disclosure, Skip and I are both involved in these organizations, and we're doing our best to promote them, and we'll be putting up a couple articles. But the Conservative Business League announced its existence just a little before the Ted Cruz announcement, and the Cruz team said, "Well, can you do an event for us?" and gave us about 4 days' notice. And indeed, the Conservative Business League of New Hampshire was able to put together this event. Easily a couple of hundred people in the room, and a lot of press too. I think we counted 26 or 28 news people in the crowd. It's incredible. And not just the press. Near the end, I spotted a familiar figure. Short, round, kind of chubby-faced, short black hair and a black beard and a flip cam. "Hi, Jason," I said from behind. It was my friend, the Tricky Tracker Troll, from the American Bridge to the 21st century. How's that bridge rusting, Jason?
Was he media? Did he have media credentials? Did you let him stay?
I don't know. Since from where he was standing, he may have snuck in the side door. Look, it frankly doesn't matter with some of these. If it's a closed meeting, where some of the question and answers may be, a little probing. You don't really want that kind of person around, because they're going to then try and hold off the record commentary as a firm position. In this kind of event where Senator Cruz was giving his his maiden pitch, more or less, in New Hampshire, he stands behind every word that he says.
Absolutely.
And if he doesn't, well, he's going to have as much a problem with Republican voters as he is going to have with the trolls. So the only problem with the trolls is they snip it up and use sound bites against him.
Oh, I know Peter King isn't a big supporter.
Peter King is
Cruz.
what? Of Cruz? No. Well, Peter King's got his own problems. Aside from being militaristic, which is going to alienate the Ron Paul types, and there's nothing wrong with a strong military, but he tends to be more jingoistic than militaristic. Peter King is frankly a disgusting rhino, and he's also in favor of gun control and high expenditures all around. He's not the person you would want trying to shrink your government. So, it's like the senator said yesterday. The kind of people that are coming out against him are like an in-kind endorsement, an in-kind contribution.
Like, what did I see? The Planned Parenthood, their PAC.
Oh yeah,
They came out against him. It was comical.
Yeah. Well, he said the New York Times article was the one that took the cake because they ran this piece saying how the Republican establishment was all coming out against him, and he said he felt like xeroxing that's showing my age there. Xeroxing the article and sending it out to supporters, and he said, but he'd have to be careful because that would count as an in-kind contribution from the New York Times. In other words, in this case, with enemies like that, he's got plenty of friends.
I'm trying to remember where Reagan was at in this stage of the game.
He was pretty low at the stage in the game. I mean, he was a popular man, a popular actor. He'd been a governor, of course, which helps no end. And that's the one thing that Ted Cruz doesn't have. He's got a good resume, but he's not actually been a governor. And I'm very interested to see if he can sort of, if he's got enough of a record and a resume to stand on that not having been a governor doesn't matter.
Yep, and I think that's the appeal that Scott Walker will bring to the table if he jumps in, is that executive experience.
I think so too, and he's got a long track record of standing firm on positions, of winning elections against the worst odds, even winning when there was an attempt to replace a Supreme Court justice that would have caused a ruling to go against him. His team handily defeated the Democrat minions that were attempting to flip that Supreme Court seat in Wisconsin. So I think Governor Walker's got a great story to tell.
Yeah, he's got that endurance and longevity to kind of persevere through all the attacks.
Yeah, the other one that I like Perry. He doesn't get mentioned a lot by other people. There's a big difference between people like Perry and I suspect when we see him Jindal and folks like Bush and even to some extent Walker is how they approach the electorate. Bush especially has gone mostly for the high-end, closed-doors donor sessions, hanging out with people like Fungus Cullen, the disgraced former party chair, and so on, and not getting with the voters. And Walker's in danger of getting sucked into that orbit, and I hope he sees it in time. On the other hand, Perry likes to get out and meet the people. Cruz likes to get out and meet the people. I think if we see Jindal up here, he likes to get out and meet the people. There are plenty of them that do, and I think if they're hoping to win New Hampshire, I think it's a defining feature of New Hampshire. If I haven't shaken his hand 3 times, I don't trust him.
Right. New Hampshire politics is like no other state, and I kind of pride ourselves on that.
No, it's why, in spite of the distortion it causes for the in-state Republican politics, we kind of welcome the first-in-the-nation primary thing because with a relatively small and very active political population, New Hampshire's the ideal place to vet candidates. And I know Iowa has its unique way of vetting candidates and does an extremely good job too. But we do have a perspective that makes a heck of a difference to how the candidates are winnowed.
Right. I just saw our friend Jack Kimball step in the room.
Yeah, Jack's showing a lot of interest in Ted Cruz. Again, he's not picked anybody yet. I can say that for certain.
Right.
But this is one set of tires or shins I think a lot of people want to kick very thoroughly. Does he really mean what he says? Does he really stand firm on those principles? Will he change or wilt under pressure? So far, the indications are not. Even better than some of the governor candidates that are out here. I think he's got a good story, and like you said, Reagan at this time, I actually think Cruz is facing slightly different odds than Reagan did. I mean, they did everything they could to prevent Reagan getting the nomination, and then they tried to sabotage him by putting H.W. Bush on his team. And nothing to denigrate that fine, honorable gentleman, but he's not conservative like Reagan is.
No.
But I think the parallel is closer to Barry Goldwater.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen that comparison in a lot of the...
Not because I think Barry Goldwater's a bad guy. I think Barry Goldwater's an excellent guy, or was an excellent guy, a very staunch conservative and almost libertarian, a man who stood on his principles come what may, which is why Reagan was willing to work so hard to try and help him get through. But the Rockefeller wing was absolutely incensed and totally scared at the thought of a Goldwater presidency, and they actually sabotaged their own man even after he got the nomination. It came close to that with Reagan, but once he got the nomination, they at least managed to beat out a compromise, and he won. So the question is, is Ted Cruz facing Reagan-like odds, or is he facing Goldwater-like odds? Because of his really firm position and the fact that the media, all of the media, is going to try and beat the drum that this guy's too extreme to be near the Oval Office.
I think that one of the advantages that Reagan had after he got the nomination was that he had developed a rapport with the people, and it didn't matter what your Rockefeller types said about him. He had that natural rapport. Maybe it's from being an actor, and I think Ted Cruz has that appeal as well. He's a brilliant speaker, and he gives you the warm fuzzy, which is what everybody looks for.
Yeah, and he likes to get in and mix it with the people. And when I get the video posted yesterday, or if you saw it live, he absolutely mixed with the people. His entrance to the room was delayed. We're looking around the room, and the room's about 2/3 full, and we're thinking, where are the rest of the people? And then he arrived. And then there was a delay, and then the people started coming in. About 1/3 of the people that attended the event waited outside to get a better chance at access to the candidate as he made his way in. And about half of the press was outside, too, with their portable cameras. I mean, the press was all over him yesterday.
Yeah.
It was quite the event. And, by the time all the people that had been hanging outside came in, the room was indeed packed end to end.
Okay. Well, guys, I think it's time to take a break. No jingle box, nothing to listen to during our break. But, folks, we are Grok Talk, a production of GraniteGrok.com, and we are at the Portsmouth Country Club for a Ted Cruz event that'll be coming up very soon. We'll be right back.
GrokTV.